Welcome back to the corner, everyone. I am the DM as always, and today I want to look at this article. I've already read through the article. I think they hit on some amazing points, but I also think that they are a little disingenuous at times, and I just want to kind of go over it, and maybe we'll look at a YouTube video or two, just in short, not go through through all of them towards the end, just to talk about some extra points that I want to make. So this article is talking about the specs, which is not all of them have been confirmed, and there are only rumors about some, but we have some a pretty significant amount of information to go off of. Now, the first thing I want to talk about right here is right here, where it says there's a larger, more capable GPU that will offer 45% faster rendering overall, as well as complementary features to the graphics unit of advanced ray tracing, as well as AI-driven upscaling tech called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. Fucking stupid name, which will also add clarity and greater detail. Now, I'm just going to be upfront right out of the gate. This part right here, no one's going to fucking notice. This will be so inconsequential to the overall aspect, or to the overall experience, that it's not going to even matter. All this is going to do is just increase the amount of work that that the system has to actually do in order to function properly. Additionally, advanced ray tracing, no one's going to fucking notice this either. Just straight up, no one's going to fucking notice it. No one's going to care. Now, getting down here, we get into some of the actual specs of the PS5 Pro versus the standard PS5. Now, the storage and the Wi-Fi are the only actual notable upgrades here. The storage is going to be about 2 times bigger. It's going to have 2 terabytes rather than 1 terabyte. The current PS5 leaves you about 600 gigabytes worth of usable space, because a lot of it is dedicated, about 200 gigabytes is dedicated to just shit that they have pre-installed. Some of it required, most of it not. But they're going to be upgrading it to 2 terabytes, which means you'll have about 1.5 terabytes worth of space for actual games and apps and whatnot. Now, this is important and this is good because a lot of games on the PlayStation, especially big AAA games, have like 100 plus gigabytes, especially like Call of Duty games, which are up to like almost 300 gigabytes, I believe. And the more notable one is the Wi-Fi. Now, this only matters if you're in a region that supports Wi-Fi 7. If you're in an area that does not support Wi-Fi 7, this doesn't fucking make any change to you at all. All this does is increase the speed and capacity of the Wi-Fi itself. If you do not have Wi-Fi that can go this fast, or if you do not have, or if you do not live in an area that supports this Wi-Fi 7, then this upgrade is just completely meaningless and does absolutely fucking nothing for you. Now, there are speculations that the CPU is going to be the same, although slightly altered. We don't have any confirmation as to what the new one is going to be. We also don't have any kind of information about what the RAM situation or what the GPU situation is going to look like. Now, my computer has 32 gigabytes of RAM. 32 gigabytes of RAM means it will run absolutely everything with no hiccups whatsoever. Full stop. There are a lot of games that require more than 16 gigabytes or require 16 gigabytes. And at that point, your RAM is going to be struggling and it's going to be capped out pretty much the entire time. You're going to burn those things out very, very fast. So, yeah. The expanded storage is going to be the exact same. The external storage is going to be the exact same. And then the optical, they're just outright removing the optical drive. And we'll get to that here in a bit about why this is just flat out bad. Full stop. There's no reason for them to do this. And then down here, we have the price, where so the price for the PS5 is $500. The price for the PS5 Pro is $700. That's $200 more for 1 extra terabyte and a Wi-Fi upgrade that most people probably don't care about. Now, how much is 1 terabyte SSDs? Let's go ahead and look. We'll look at both Best Buy and we'll look at Amazon. Okay. So a 1 terabyte SSD on Amazon goes for about 50 bucks. Um, Best Buy is apparently 1 terabyte SSD. Is struggling to actually pull it up apparently. Here we have about 70, 50, 50, about 100 right here, right? So at most, we're looking from here to here, about maybe a $50 upgrade. 100 if we're being generous and we're going for something like the Samsung, right? Now, mind you, these aren't necessarily DDR5, which is the superior version of the SSDs. It's the essentially like kind of next gen SSD. The standard one before that was DDR4, which is an inferior version of it. So they're charging $200 extra for an additional terabyte, essentially, which is about 50 bucks. They're also charging for Wi-Fi 7, which most people don't care about, or if they do care about, might not even apply to them because they're not in an area that supports it. Right. So we go down here. And they talk about the PS5 both advanced ray tracing as a part of their the pisser system, which will provide more dynamic reflections and refraction of light, enhancing details in games, specifically detail that can be seen in the background. Here's the thing: no one fucking cares about this. Um, the vast majority of people who care about like things in the background are honestly pretty far and few between. There are people that do genuinely care about it. Of course, I am one of those. But even I, as someone who does care about like things happening in the background and whatnot, don't actually care about this. Ray tracing, in my opinion, while it makes the game look pretty, right, it doesn't actually add that much to the game, and therefore I generally just turn it off because it just increases the load on my computer, and I would rather just not have that enhanced load for details that I'm most of the time not going to actually care about or even notice, right? So this is more or less pointless, a pointless addition that they're just bragging about that doesn't actually increase the experience all that much over what is current, right? The current ray tracing is far better, and in my opinion, in terms of computer use efficiency. And then down here, they say that they make big moves with their PS5 Pro, which can provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail, according to Sony. The amount of detail is not extraordinary in any way, shape, or form. Full stop. And then they talk about AI upscaling technology. No one fucking cares. In fact, the terminology AI, in my opinion, is fucking retarded. It's stupid. It is a buzzword that they use for investors and for gamers who don't necessarily understand what this means. And they say that it will be a boost to the game's resolution by analyzing picture pixel by pixel and allowing game images to be filled out by machine learning rather than anything incorporated into the software by developers to increase detail and clarity. Now, here's the thing: this sounds good and all, but I'm going to be honest. In my opinion, this doesn't really actually add anything, right? So this is going to analyze things pixel by pixel. The thing you have to remember is something has to be actually computing all of this. Something has to be uh, running in the background, which means this just adds further strain to the CPU and the GPU, which means if the CPU and GPU are not upgraded sufficiently enough to be able to accommodate for this, it is only going to decrease the performance of the game or of the console. And there are a lot of games already out on the PS5 that struggle with the current technology that they have in them, right? So, and they say this adds up to like 45% better rendering or whatever. Doesn't really matter. Now, if we continue to go down, the CPU we don't really have any information about, so they don't really talk about this. The SSD, again, this is a good thing, just overall, 2 TB, that's twice the space. Like they mentioned down here, this is really, really big. This is huge for fans who install very large games like Call of Duty. And then down here is where I start to get a little annoyed at what they're saying. So they say that there is a new feature called PS5 Pro Game Boost, which will apply to more than 8,500 backwards compatible PS4 games playable on PS5 Pro. Here's the thing. This is a negative because PlayStation used to be backwards compatible with all of its games. PS4 is where it stopped doing this, and it was only compatible with PS3 games. So if you want to play PS2 or PS1 games, you essentially have to have those consoles in order to properly play them. You also need to have memory cards for them, and yeah, it's just bad. If you play on a PC, you can just get an emulator and be able to play all of these games uh, with mostly no issues. There are some hiccups, of course, depending on the emulator that you're using. Um, but yeah, and a lot of PS1 games and PS2 games have been ported over to the PC for better or worse sometimes. And so this feature, in my opinion, doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me excited or happy about any of this because, in my opinion, this is just a straight up downgrade. And this has been a downgrade ever since they stopped letting games be backwards compatible. Now, down here, this is just a flat out negative. And I marked it as a negative on here because of the wording they use. They say that the optional drive disk is also interesting. It's not interesting. It's a bullshit move. Spec wise, it has absolutely nothing to do with the specs. Starting with the PS5 Pro without a disk drive to keep the entry price low makes sense on one level. It makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. A PS5 not having a optical disc drive does absolutely nothing other than cut their cost by maybe $50 at most. This is something that has just been going the way of the dodo. Most PCs nowadays don't even have a disc drive, which doesn't really make that much of a difference since the vast majority of gamers on PC just buy through Steam or otherwise buy digitally regardless. So not having one just doesn't even matter really on PC. But on PlayStation 5, there are a lot of games that are still coming out with discs, and there are a lot of people, myself included, that would prefer to have a physical copy of the game that they're purchasing. Whenever I have the choice, I always buy the physical medium because that is more worth the $60 price tag than a digital one, which has a $60 price tag for absolutely no reason. Um, Games that do not have a physical disc or games sold digitally should categorically be cheaper, full stop, because they don't have to worry about printing the disc, which is a huge cost that is then being cut. So I don't like how they word this. They do go on to say, however, it feels likely that those most keen on most performant consoles available will be those who prefer to use physical mediums. And even down here, they say, and even then, that $700 price tag doesn't really feel like Sony has tried to keep costs down too much. And they haven't tried to keep the cost down at all. If they were, they would have sold the PS5 at $500. And then down here, they say the final features of note claimed AK support. This does not matter. The number of people, so 8K monitors. Let's look at the price tag for a 8K monitor. Okay. So in the Dell, an 8K monitor runs $4,000. Do you know how many people have a fucking 8K monitor? Almost none. Only people with high paying jobs buy 8K fucking monitors. Okay. Um and 8K TVs, right, which is what a console is going to be using. It's not going to be using an 8K monitor. If we go to Best Buy, we're looking at over over 4K. Now you have this one down at 1K. It's on clearance. It's usually $1,500. But it's also unavailable near me. Down here you have 3K, you have 10K, you have 5K. So as you can see, 8K monitors are just prohibitively expensive. End of story. Additionally, in order to actually see the detail quality of an 8K versus even a 4K, the monitor itself has to be massive, absolutely massive, for you to even be able to tell that there's a difference between 4K. And even 4K monitors, right? 4K television, 4K TV. If we go and look at these are a little bit more affordable, I guess you could say. You know, about 150, 250, 200. These are more affordable, right? But even then, to notice the difference between 4K and 1080p, again, your the television, the monitor has to be pretty massive in order for you to actually be able to tell the difference. So this just does not matter at all. It's another buzzword used that nobody fucking cares about, because in order to actually see the difference, your monitor, your television has to be absolutely massive, or you have to fork out a absolute chunk of money. Now the last thing that is uh good is the upgrade in Wi-Fi. Again, if you're in an area that can support it and you have internet that is actually worth it, and that can actually run it, this is good. But also, most people, especially gamers, if they're going online, they're going to be directly plugged into their router. They're not going to be using Wi-Fi, and this Wi-Fi 7 only really applies, you guessed it, to Wi-Fi. Now I don't know if it actually, like, I will straight up admit, I don't know if it actually applies to Ethernet. I assume not, because it says Wi-Fi. It doesn't say internet or intranet or Ethernet or anything like that. So this doesn't really actually matter whatsoever. So overall, the PS5, while it boasts an upgrade, we have absolutely no information as to what those specs actually are. We only have assumptions that we can go off of. And I went and because there's a lot of assumptions, I went and had ChatGPT kind of estimate what this might be, right? And so right here, I'm just going to kind of scroll down and leave these on screen for a little bit, so that way you can see them and pause if you want. And we'll get down to comparisons here in a bit. So if we go down here, I asked how much would it be to essentially build a PS5 Pro as a PC, right? And it gives me some equivalents right here, as to like what they are and whatnot. This is the NVIDIA 4080, one of the premier graphics card, essentially one of the high-end graphics cards. And of course, the cost to making a high-end PC can be somewhat prohibitive. As you can see down here, the low cost for AMD versus the high cost, about $1,400 to $1,700. The NVIDIA, which in my opinion is the superior version, is about $2,200 to $2,500. Now, this is significantly more expensive than the $700 price tag. However, the PC version, if you were to build this as a PC, will last significantly longer. We're talking about a decade, if not longer, before you would really begin to feel the difference in performance between the 4080 and whatever comes out in the next decade, right? So I asked them using the PS5 specs, so the PlayStation 5, the current one, how much would it cost to build that? And it said that building it with those specs are possible, but since the PS5 is a custom console, some of them are, kind of assumed. And this is what he got. This is what ChatGPT got for the equivalent, right? And you can do all this research yourself. It's not that hard to do. PC Part Picker, you can go there and you can find these as well. And it says, so for this one, it would be at most about $1,400. Now, my computer is about $1,400, a little bit more. It's had some improvements because some of the parts weren't compatible. So overall, my PC came out to about $2,000 in total to build it. And it is significantly better than the PlayStation 5, which we will get into here in a bit. Now, I was using PC Part Picker to sort of build up all these because I wanted to get references. So I was trying to get specific air coolers for it, right? Specific motherboards, etc., etc., etc. And so down here, if we keep going, do 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 do. What is this? So, using all the prior info, would it be what would be the equal for a PS5 Pro as a computer? And that's what we get right here. Um, But so I give my specs right here, and you can see them right here. You can plug them into a calculator yourself and see. Again, this all cost me about $2,000 in total to get this PC built. And I had originally started, but I didn't. I wanted to rephrase it essentially. So I stopped it, and then because I wanted it to get the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 5 Pro based off of its projected upgrades, the PlayStation 5 Pro computer equivalent, and then compare it to my PC as well. And we have this. So it has PS5 Pro, PS5 Pro PC build, and then mine. So as you can see, the CPU itself, the verdict came out that mine was better just flat out, right? And I have an Intel or a NVIDIA PC. So I have an Intel CPU, and it came out that mine was just significantly better because it has more cores. It has about twice as many cores than even the PS5 Pro PC build. The GPU as well. We have it right here, and the verdict was that the PS5 GPU equivalent for the PC is stronger than my RTX 3060 Ti, but that does not surprise me because the one that is suggested was a 4070. It's one generation better, so it makes sense that it would be better because it has 60 CUs or 5,888 cores versus my 38 or 4,864, right? It also has 80 to 20 teraflops, depending on the GPU specifically. Mine has about 16 teraflops, which makes mine weaker than it, right? But it also makes it better than the PS5 itself. Um, but not the PS5 Pro, right? So it says that it would be about 20 to 30% better than mine for the PS5 equivalent GPU. Now we go down here to the RAM. The RAM for the projected PS5 is only 16 gigabytes. ChatGPT suggested you upgrade that to 32 because of the reasons I mentioned before, where at 16 gigabytes, most games, most high end games require at least 16 gigabytes. That is their recommended. But by going with just 16 gigabytes, you are going to be straining your RAM. You're going to be at the peak of your RAM consumption. Mine is 32 gigabytes because I want to have extra space. That way I can have things running in the background and not impact my performance. And so as a result, because it is twice the memory, it performs better than the PS5 Pro, both the standard and the PC equivalent. Storage capacity. Okay, so 1 terabyte, right? The PC, the PS5 Pro, I don't know why it didn't put 2 terabytes. It's 2 terabytes. Theirs is better because it has more room, more terabytes. And then down here, it just has some like, talking about ray tracing. I don't care that much about ray tracing in my humble opinion. I think ray tracing does make the game look a bit better for sure. It definitely, especially if you're going for like wanting like some really good screenshots in video games, ray tracing definitely helps with that. But it does significantly impact performance of the games, and that is why I tend to just turn them off. Now, so the overall summary, right? uh, is the CPU, GPU, memory, storage. So the conclusion is that your PC already has a stronger CPU and better memory, but the PS5 Pro or the PC equivalent build has a significantly stronger GPU and a faster SSD, which is entirely true. Now, granted, my current actual system only has 500 gigabytes SSD. That's because the one that I did have failed on me and I haven't been able to replace it. Um, but the PS5 Pro has a faster SSD and has a better GPU for certain. However, that is only under the assumption that the GPU that it is going to be giving us is better than its current one. The current one is just simply about equivalent to mine. So I had them do a cost analysis of like efficiency for your money, which one is the best. And it came out that efficiency wise, the PS5 Pro is considered the per performance unit better than mine at only $700 per unit. And that makes sense, right? For what you get just out of the box, it is better because it is cheaper. However, one thing ChatGPT did not talk about is the longevity of it. The longevity of the PlayStation 5 did not last very long. The PS5 came out at $500, not maybe a few years ago, I believe. And then the PS5 Pro came out, and it is $700, $200 more. And they're not offering you like any kind of discount to upgrade, send in your PS5 and a little bit of extra money, and then we upgrade it like another $200, and then we'll upgrade it. They didn't do anything like that. They just want you to buy this entirely new console for $700 in addition to the 500. So that would be $1,200 right there out of the box that you've paid within 5 years, right? Whereas my PC, I've had it for almost 7 years now at about $1,400, 2,000 after some upgrades, right? Um, and my PC will still be out and still be able to play the newer games that come out even on PC completely fine with absolutely no issues whatsoever. I might have to lower the graphics a little bit to maintain 60 FPS, maybe in a few years. But in that time, I will also have probably upgraded my graphics card for maybe about $500 to the 4070. At which point it will probably last me another decade or so, in addition to what it will already last me. So, about another 15 to 20 years before really I feel like I have to upgrade to the most modern graphics card. But even then, cost will probably have gone down or remained relatively the same. So, I'll probably shell out another $1,000 or so. And in that time, console generations will have released about another 4 to 5 consoles. And even if we assume that the newer consoles come out at $500, 4 to 5 new consoles, that's another $2,000 to $2,500 in addition to the already $1,200, raising the total price tag to over $3,000, almost $4,000. Whereas mine, even if I were to wait in another, let's say 5 or 6 generations to the 9090 Ti whatever that cost another $1,000. My total projected cost for my entire computer will come out to about $4,000, and that is after about 15 to 20 years versus the PlayStation versus consoles, which will be at that cost within the next decade, right? So this is the overall issue with consoles is the generations are very short. They expect you to just buy the newest generation without any sort of like rollback of or discounts of like send in your old console and we'll give you a discount for the newest generation or anything like that. So that's my opinion anyway. So that is my take. I don't think that the PS5 console, for what they are claiming, is worth the $700. I would personally say, honestly, wait until the PS7 comes out and then upgrade. And then buy some of the PlayStation 6 games. Or realistically, just save the $700, save up for like another few months or so, and then just buy a PC. And if you see a game that comes out on PlayStation that's an exclusive or Xbox that's an exclusive, wait until it comes to PC because they inevitably will. Or someone will find a way to mod the game to bring it over to PC via emulation or whatever. And yeah, so that's my take. Those are my thoughts. Uh, if you have thoughts, leave them down in the comments. So yeah, thank you all for coming to my corner. I have been the DM as always. If you liked the video, hit like, hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video, hit dislike, leave a comment, let me know why I'm entirely wrong. And maybe I'll respond, maybe I won't. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm right. Who knows? Anyways, I will see you all next time.